is talk about two things: micro-inspection and mega-exploration. Micro-inspection, the voice inside our heads, and mega-exploration, what's coming, and how do we prepare ourselves and leave with a new question in mind. Maybe the most difficult slide I'll share with you today for you to digest is this. It's from a gentleman called Alan Watts, and he says this. He says, the knowledgeable man has to learn something new every day, but the wise man has to unlearn something new every day. And boy, is that hard for men. Much more difficult for men than for women. The malleability of our brains are different. And for us to unlearn becomes critical. And one of the biggest problems for disruption or innovative behavior shift is past successes. You see, I call it the ironic rut of success, where we often become stuck in our past successes, where we become both the prisoner and the warden of our success. I do workshops around the world with excos and board members, and about a third of the way through every workshop, I get the same thing. No, not that innovative, John. Come back. Let's just innovate here. Let's just be a little bit better. Let's be mobile first. Let's create an app. And that shows me that that's deeply caught up in a prison where we're both the prisoner and the warden of our past success. I, unfortunately or fortunately, know this prison far too well. I remember I was 8 years old and the yo-yo craze arrived in South Africa. If you remember that, you're old, but yes, the yo-yo craze arrived in South Africa. My brother and I, my mom was a single mom family, my brother and I arrived home really excited because the cool kids, or should I say the rich kids, had yo-yos at school. And we came home to ask my mom to buy us yo-yos. And I'm sure it broke my mom's heart, but it super pissed me off that my mom couldn't afford to buy us yo-yos. I made a commitment to myself at 8, 9 years old that I'll never be financially constrained again. So I started working like a madman. And by 13, I had my first job packing bags at a spa. And then I kept moving up the chain of command. And eventually, by the time I was 26 years old, I had a range of restaurants, retail stores, vending machines, and shoe distribution businesses around South Africa. I was flying high. 27 years old, multi-millionaire, fancy cars, fancy houses, fancy clothes, fancy businesses, and a fancy personality to go with it. You know what I'm saying? But I was from Joburg. Tattoos, muscles, M3 cab, Porsche. I could do nothing wrong. I had it all happening. 29 years old, the bank came and took my fancy car, my fancy house. Stop laughing. It's not like bro. Dissing me. Fancy house, fancy clothes, and my fancy personality to go with it, believe it or not. And I blame it 100% on my high levels of testosterone. You see, in your 20s, men are thinking with this, not with this. And unfortunately, I see board members around the world that are still thinking with this. We just need more now. In my new book, I call it the horny teenage boy syndrome. We need more now. Forget about tomorrow. Let's just now whatever we can now, and then tomorrow will look after itself. And I did what every responsible boy does. I took zero responsibility. It wasn't me. It was my partners. They were thieves. My staff were lazy. Those bloody Chinese people are making everything cheaper. My consumers don't even know what they want. And I fell into a deep depression. I call it the emotional long drop of victimization. You know, when you're swimming around in shit and everybody else around you is also swimming in shit, you all smell as bad as each other. You don't even realize it. And I suffered from 3 different types of victimhood. The first one, the classic one, called the martyr victim. We know this one well. It visits every single human being. When you feel sorry for yourself, you didn't get that business deal, the promotion, you ate far too much chocolate cake the night before, you're feeling a little bit fat. When you feel sorry for yourself. But it's not the only type of victim. The other one I call the arrogant inferior victim. Best described by, let's say, somebody's driving past in a Ferrari, and in front of the person driving past in the Ferrari, you're like, hey, but like a car. But in your head, you're going, thief. Must be a thief. There's no way you could have got that car. Must be daddy's money. Or, did you hear she got a promotion? She must have slept her way to the top. There's no way she got that. Whenever we have anybody more successful than us, we arrogantly make them more inferior to us to make ourselves feel better. But guess what? You'll never drive a Ferrari because you have to be a thief, and you'll never get a promotion because you've got a stump to be able to get that promotion. And my favorite one is the arrogant superior victim, the one who's always angry about everything. The bloody government, the Zuma, the dollar, the rand exchange, the black people, the white people, the green people, the pink people, and all of them all idiots because I and my friends are superior to all these monkeys below us. And then what we do is we invite all our arrogant, superior friends together for a braai. And then we braai together and bitch and moan about the rugby coach and about this and about that and about this. And then we leave. And the only thing that changes is our blood pressure. Nothing else changes. I call this peeing in your nappy. It's obviously a hypothetical scenario. If you are wearing a nappy here, my condolences. But imagine for a second that you're standing somewhere, it's winter, you're cold, you all of a sudden need a pee, and you're not near a toilet. So you start negotiating inside your head and think to yourself, what am I going to do? I am wearing a nappy, there is nobody around, and I am cold, and what I'm going to, oh man. I feel like such a champ. I've got my own private jacuzzi here now. It's nice and warm. I feel warm and relieved. And this is exactly like victim thinking. You feel warm, you feel relieved, and you smell like pee. So next time you catch yourself bitching, moaning, and not taking responsibility, remember, have a chuckle. There I was, peeing in my nappy again. And so I took 5 years to climb out of this emotional long drop of victimization. From being a multimillionaire to not being able to pay 6,000 rand rent, you can imagine it's shameful and embarrassing. So I did everything in my power to try and climb out of this emotional long drop of victimization. And I did a whole bunch of different workshops and watched a whole bunch of different talks. And I started to follow a guy called Dr. Joe Dispenza. And what he says is this. He says that every single human being has a mind. This mind has a personality. This personality has a behavior. These behaviors are made up of habits, and these habits are made up of rituals. We, as human beings, are made up of moment-by-moment rituals.